Hello and welcome back, folks. It's Sunday. It's February 1st. It's a very loud full moon in Leo. And with it, today's episode, we're talking about the fractal clench. And in that clench, I bet everyone was like, clench, what is she talking about? Let's take a deep breath in, like a real breath, and a deep breath out. We spent January mapping the shapes of our resistance. We've dissected the tangle, the high frequency noise of failure, where we're just all in it, we're lit up, we're all over the place, we're frenetic, everything, everyone, all at the same time. It's everyone's fault. We looked at the circle, the rhythmic, expensive loop of repetition where we pay a massive energy tax just to stay in something familiar. And last week we introduced a straight line. That clinical exit that we are all a little bit deep down allergic to. Because yes, we want a resolution. So that's one way a straight line can work, delivering us to the resolution. Or it could be the pop-off point to an even deeper sense of friction, a deeper conflict, a deeper unearthing of what's really there. And why do I say we're allergic to this? Why do we stay in the tango when the exit is right there? And in my many moons of mapping friction, and I said this last week and I said in the podcast before, I've realized that we don't stay in messes because we're bad at it. We don't stay in messes because we're bad people. We don't stay in messes because we're bad at communicating. We stay in the mess because we are used to being systematically de-recognized. So I'll say that again. We don't stay in things because we're bad people, we're bad at communicating, that we might have challenges in communicating. Bad or good doesn't come into this conversation. I'm essentially removing emotion from things and looking at the straight facts. We stay in things, tangles, circles, straight lines going nowhere, because we are used to being systematically de-recognized. And today, the Fractal Clench, we're looking at the weaponry of de-recognition. We're looking at what I call linguistic blockers, or some of you that have met me in real life and have sat down to do the 20 questions of conflict with me know it's something I call the anti-mantra, but we're going to call it the linguistic blocker. It all comes down to the same thing, and you'll see how this makes sense towards the end. So what I like to say is, as above, so below. In the work of Adrienne Marie Brown and the framework of Emergent Strategy, we learn that small, is a reflection of the large. So micro is a reflection of macro, macro is a reflection of micro. Conflict therein is fractal. It's a fraction. It's a fracturing of a system, a way of being, you name it. It's 2026. Saturn, is moving. Neptune has now come into Aries. My friends who are astrologers have been looking at this with a fine tooth comb and a very deep lens for the last little bit. I am not an astrologer. I'm really good at understanding those things, but I'll let them speak for themselves. I'm a structural surgeon. So let's get back on that. Conflict is fractal, though, folks. And what does that mean? What does it mean for you? What is conflict is fractal? You're like, Selena, what are you talking about? It means the clench that you feel at the checkout line at the grocery store is the same clench that stops a multi-million-dollar merger, is the same clench that stops a negotiation from going through. The scale changes, but the geometry of the friction is identical. In my doctoral research, some of you know that I'm pursuing another doctorate. Specifically in chapter 2, I look at the mechanics of recognition. And what does that mean? A mantra, as some of you know, and maybe those of you that are tuning in for the first time are like, holy hell, is she going to go off on something? No, I'm not. Check it out. Stay with me for a minute. A mantra is a sound that stabilizes your system through resonance. So something like Om, when repeated enough, stabilizes our system. Even when I just set it into the mic, instant stabilization, right? An anti-mantra or a linguistic blocker is a sound designed to destabilize you through dissonance. It is a structural weapon used to shift the conversation from the problem to your right to exist in space, or in that space, or in that conversation. I'll give it a minute for that to set in, because I've thrown a lot at you and I just want you to take a breath, hold it, and then exhale. And then that exhale, see if you had any clenches or any hitches or anything holding on right there. So let's talk about the recognition weapon. Last week I talked about level 1 and level 3. If you missed it, you got to wheel back and come again, check those out, and then come meet me right back here. This week, though, I want to focus on what we call level 2 semantic recognition. This isn't about someone being mean to you, okay? It's not where someone's like, oh, girl, what the fuck? No, this is not that. It's kind of that, but it's not that, and you'll see what all that is in a second. This is about someone using language to delete your validity. And I think in 2026, we can all take a pause here, because we've all heard languages that are starting to delete our validity, delete our right to be human, delete our right to show up for each other in community and protect each other and do what is good for all. And I didn't want to say good because I said there's no good or bad here earlier. And that was the only word I had. Have you heard this one? You're being oversensitive. I think you're taking that a bit too personally. Now, when I said that, and I think I said that last week too, but when I said that this week, I added a little resonance to you're being oversensitive. Because I wanted you to notice what happens to your body the moment that sound in that tone hits the room. Your breath probably clenched. Maybe your throat got a bit tight. And maybe your solar plexus, the center of your body, dropped because I might have touched something on your windshield. That, my folks, is what we call the somatic clench. The somatic clench is where nothing that you've put out has been addressed. Your data points, it could be the budget, it could be the schedule, it could be the pickup and drop off, it could be what are we having for dinner? Okay? By saying being oversensitive, do you think you're controlling that too much? Maybe you're looking at that too deeply. What happens, or what is happening, is what we call a structural erasure. By labeling you as oversensitive, or by putting a label, they have effectively deleted your data, or what you're presenting, in essence, who you are, as invalid. The straight line to a resolution then vanishes because you're no longer talking about the project, what to have to dinner, who's going to pick up who's going to drop off who, where. You're now fighting internally to prove that you're not too much. What you're saying, what you're asking for, what you're clarifying, what you're announcing isn't too much. And that's the clench. And that clench is where we shrink. And that shrinkage doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment, but it does have a repetitive pattern. This is what I call the energy tax, or some of you that read my LinkedIn articles, I call it the inefficiency tax. For those of us here in the realms of airwaves, Substacks, Nest Labs, Deezer, however I'm coming at you, I'm going to call it the efficiency tax in its purest form. It's an efficiency tax waged on your own energy. You now start spending 100% of your energy on a defense, a status defense, instead of innovation, finding an emergent strategy, and you're now in defense mode. You don't want to hear nothing. The straight line has caused you now to create your own straight line, your own boundary. And we'll look at that in March. But I put it out there today. So let's talk about this whole thing that we've been talking about, or let's give it a container. Let's give it an actual name, a thing you can use out there in the world when you may or may not be talking about me, or not even me. Don't mention me. Use the field notes. Use what comes out of the lab, okay? But let's talk a bit about the vertical fractal. So from operations, if you work in a corporate environment, the administration room, if you work in a school or any of our healthcare services, or just with your girl, your guy, spouse, hanging out, your kids. This fractal, the vertical fractal, is everywhere, okay? And it's pervasive. It's so pervasive that we don't even see it anymore. So for example, you're at work, or let's take a working scene. Let's take a boardroom scene. Let's take any of those. Dream up any scene you want to think of, okay? Where I see it, and I'll give you the visual prompt in the boardroom. I see the AVP use the vertical fractal to silence an operations lead who was pointing out a structural flaw. Like, hey, this is not working. And then I see them use it to silence that. I see the IT director use it to ignore the admin personnel who sees the tangle in the workflow. It's not how we do things here. Or we don't have time for this right now. Like, let's just circle back. You see the circle back statement? That's a vertical fractal. And you see how pervasive it is? It's in our Instagrams. It's all over the place. We make a joke out of it. There's memes about it. Vertical fractal. So pervasive, so subtle, so latent. Part of our everyday language. We say it all the time. The result of this at a corporate level, at a work level, it could be any type of work, is systemic stagnation. Out and about in our friendships, let's say you share a vulnerability, a moment of like real growth, like something has really just brought the awe back into your life, or you realized I was over there, now I'm over here. I made it through. And you're sharing that with a friend, and you're really meeting them there, and you're eye to eye, or maybe not, maybe you're looking around. And all of a sudden, the friend says, well, aren't you overthinking that? Are you really sure? Like, how do you even really know that it's that though? Do you see what I mean? How do you really know that it's that though? Boom, the clench happens. You suck yourself back in. That straight line to intimacy is now broken, and the straight line has created your boundary to be built. Your own tangle, because now you're thinking, well, did I overthink that? Is it me? To quote 21st century street philosopher Cardi B, am I the problem? And then you're back into the circle of small talk. Because the recognition weapon just signaled that the deep work isn't welcome here. The deep work isn't wanted here. And that's the hard part. At home, on the kitchen table, this is where the tax becomes the most expensive. Because I see it when a partner ignores the invisible labor of the home. And I'm just looking around at folks. Things are happening, conversations are happening. And again, it's so pervasive, it's so latent, right? The mention of exhaustion happens from either party, the mental load of a grocery run. And the response is, I don't see it like that because I fill in the blank. And in that moment, There's no discussion about groceries. In that moment, there is a clear denial of your right to define your own labor. Like, hey, this is a lot. It doesn't matter who's doing what. Everybody has the right to say, hey, this is a lot. I'm strained here. My meter is at like 20%. I want to share that with you. I want you to know that. And I want you to know how much I'm putting in. And when we're denied the rights to find our own labor, the exit from this conflict has been blocked by derecognition. Because we were denied our right to define ourselves. Listen, whether you're an admin, parent, a CEO, a psychologist, an artist, doesn't matter. If you feel that clench, you know it's a signal. The body keeps score. Great book. Great quote. Absolute fact. Facts. Hard facts. For my Gen Z's listening. The clench is the signal. It's the sound of the system's blueprint cracking under the weight of its own ego. Literally, it's just cracking out. So this week, I want you to sit in my role because I've given a lot. I've given you enough to be able to kind of do this on your own, kind of see your own conflict patterns, see your own tangle, see your own circle, see your own straight line. And it doesn't mean because I'm a circle at home that you're not a tangle at work. Our conflict patterns change. We're going to get into that in March, dependent on who we're in front of. Anyway, and I want you to be the structural surgeon of the sounds around you. I don't want you to try and fix the fight. That's not what we're trying to do here. I don't want you to try to win with what you now know. Do with it as you will. And that's not the intent here, okay? I just want you to listen for the weapons. Maybe write them down on Post-its. I don't want you to go to your partner or your CEO and be like, hey, look at this. No, just write them down. Maybe burn them. Just listen. Your assignment, for those that choose to accept the assignment, is the small scale at home. What phrase shuts you down on a one-on-one? Talking to your partner, what phrase is just the pure shutdown? Write on a Post-it. We can talk about it next week. Or maybe you want to send me an email or type in and say, hey, this was the phrase. Can you define it on the podcast? Yes, I can. And yes, you can stay anonymous. 2, at work, the larger scale. Where do you see that same blocker in your company-wide Slack, Teams, during an operations meeting, a Zoom, a call, IRL, however we're meeting up and doing things in real life, from construction to corporate, from healthcare to education. I just want you to look at it. Where do you see that same blocker? And then, because obviously, as I said, folks, this work it's based on me working on me. Okay? And I'm out here giving what I know, what I've experimented to y'all. Number 3 is the self-audit. This is the internal work. What is the linguistic blocker you tell yourself? That internal anti-mantra to stay in the circle or the tangle, to avoid the straight line or pop the straight line off. How do you use this language to avoid your own power? And when you hear the blocker, take a deep breath. Not a real and I want you to stop. I want you to observe everything that's going on around you, everything that's going on inside you. Discern. Just take an observer's point of view. And then act if you feel like it. If you don't, then don't. Don't defend your identity, because that's what the circle wants you to do. The circle feeds on your defense. You can pivot back to your straight line, finding a resolution within yourself. An anti-resistance is a resistance of that language, of your own anti-mantra. You can use your own counter mantra that says, let me look at the data of the problem, not the validity of the person presenting it. And if, after all this, you've observed you can't be met where you are at, they can't meet you there, whoever the they is, stay in silence. You are the architect of the exit. Stop paying the tax. As usual, folks, my name is Selena Isles, founder of the Empathy Lab podcast, think tank, doctoral researcher. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for giving me at least 20 minutes of your time. Look at the assignment. Think about the assignment. Check out the field notes on Substack. Those of you that want to know how this operates on a corporate level, check out LinkedIn. Newsletters there. Sign up. I only put out one newsletter, one field note per week, one podcast. If you're into tiny experiments, come and find me over at the Nest Labs. That's where I'm at. As usual, please stay anchored. Take very good care of yourself and each other. And I'll see you right back here next week. Bye.